I thought about skipping it, but then I read somewhere that the people who have the most birthdays tend to live the longest.
Get out of here.
So I thought I'd go along with that.
Where'd you find that at? That must be on the internet. It must be true. All right. So, now you look back, you're celebrating your birthday today. What are you, 67, if I ask,
Yeah, it's close enough.
Okay. Now, when
I
you
was 67. I'm 68 today.
Yeah, when you first stepped into the ring, man, did you think that, all these years later you'd still be doing this and still be, as popular as you are?
Oh, no, I never dreamed it, never even imagined it. I swear, the first time I ever stepped in a wrestling ring, I thought it was going to be a one-off. I thought it was a one-time deal for me. And, that's what I had promised my mentor at the time, the fabulous Jackie Fargo, who was the top wrestler in Memphis, Tennessee. And I kept bugging him to try to let me try it one time. And he said, no, you're too good an artist. You need to stick with being an artist. I said, Jackie, I promise you, if you just let me have one match, try it one time, I'll go back to being an artist. I'll never ask you again. So he gave me that one match, and here 46 years later, I'm still doing the wrestling.
That's amazing.
Crazy.
Those Memphis days were some crazy days, huh? Just about anybody that was anybody ended up wrestling in Memphis at some point in time, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, without a doubt, our Memphis territory down here, and the Memphis Wrestling, and our live 90-minute Saturday morning television show every week here, and the Monday night shows at the Mid-South Coliseum. Anybody that was anybody, from Stone Cold Steve Austin to The Rock to The Undertaker to Sting and Ultimate Warrior, all those guys came through Memphis or either started here in Memphis at one time or other.
And didn't you help the Hulk? Didn't you help Hogan get started out down there too?
I co-signed for his first car when he came to Memphis. He came from Florida. He had just been playing bass guitar in a band down in Florida. Came up, and we immediately knew that this guy was going to be a big deal. But he was just getting his feet on the ground, and Jerry Jarrett and I co-signed for his first car ever.
We're talking with Jerry the King Lawler. The King is coming to the Youngstown Phantoms hockey game on Friday night. And, this Friday night, it's coming up. Now, King, you're not going to come out wearing a Ravens jersey, are you?
No. Oh, boy, you had to throw that in my face. That's probably one of my biggest regrets ever in wrestling was when I used to love to, come back to Cleveland and do Raw or SmackDown and that sort of thing. But then when the Browns moved to Baltimore, we call it in the business cheap heat, and I was the main bad guy at the time, so I was going to, Vince suggested this, and I went along with it for some reason. But, yeah, they suggested that I go out to the ring wearing a Ravens jacket there in Cleveland, and so that didn't go over well, and I've heard about that for years because everybody knows that I'm a lifelong Browns fan. I just when I was a kid, when I was just a little prince, when I was 8 years old, we moved from Memphis, Tennessee to about 25 miles west of Cleveland, a little town called Amherst, Ohio.
Right. And
we lived up there for 8 years. And so coming from Memphis, we had no pro sports teams down here to follow. Everybody was for either like Atlanta or St. Louis. And so all of a sudden, I'm thrust in the mid-'60s up in Cleveland, Ohio, where the Browns are winning the National Football League championship with Jim Brown and the Cleveland Indians, Rocky Colavito playing and all that sort of stuff. So I became a huge Cleveland sports fan. And then when we moved back to Memphis, I just remained a Cleveland fan.
Right. You better not break out that Ravens jersey in Youngstown because, unfortunately, we're right here on the line. So half the town is, for the Browns. The other half is for the Steelers. So, there's no winning with that jersey here in Youngstown. That's for sure, man. You get it from both sides of the fence.
Don't worry. I've actually burned that. I burned that Ravens jersey after that
there you
show
go.
in Cleveland.
So you still hurting a little bit over that Indians losing to the Yankees this year?
Oh man, I'm telling you, Freddie, I got physically sick over that. I mean, I was doing a show. We were down in Florida, and I had to wind up going to watching that final game at a place called Tilted Kilt or something like that, where, a sports bar,
right.
And the place was loaded with Yankees fans, and I'm sitting there with all my Indians gear on, but I'm thinking, this is it. We're gonna head on to the World Series after this.
Yeah.
And then, man, when they didn't make it, I was sick.
Oh yeah, that really hurt me. That hurt me more than losing to the Cubs. And I went to the Yankees game in Yankee Stadium when we hammered them. I think we had 4 home runs that game, and then they got rained out. Then we come back and we swept that doubleheader. And I thought, yeah, bring on the Yankees. We got their number. And man, I'll tell you what, it was a real bummer, man.
Well, I still say to this day that just the timing of a few things that happened, like the timing of Jason Kipnis,
yep.
and the timing of Michael Brantley, at the time of Chisenhall, coming back from being injured. It's hard to say, but it just like it couldn't have happened at a worse time, because the dynamic and the you know, the I don't know, the chemistry of the team that won 22 straight games was changed when you had to bring those guys, which are, you know, starters back. I just don't think they were really ready, you know, to fit into that role.
I think you hit it right on the head. You know, you're talking about being in that sports bar with all those Yankees fans, and you know, when I was in my Indians gear at Yankee Stadium, man, boy, I'll tell you what, that was a rough one. And you know, when I left there, you know, the ovation that I got when I was leaving was kind of like probably like when you came out with that Ravens jersey. So you know,
right.
But
you know, let me tell you one of the fondest memories though of a situation like that for me was one year, and this has been years ago, but one year I went to Yankee Stadium, and I was completely decked out in all my Indians garb and all that sort of stuff, and I'm sitting down. I had some seats like right down on like the second row behind home plate. And anyway, I'm sitting there watching the game. Of course, people give me all these weird looks. All of a sudden, this lady, this host, because we were in this kind of nice section there, this lady that worked at the stadium said, comes walking up to me with all of this Indians gear on, and she said, "You're Mr. Lawler, right?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "With WW, of course, WWF at the time." I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Well, would you like to go up and see Mr. Steinbrenner's office?" And I said, "Dressed like this?" And she said, "Yes." He wasn't there, but I don't know if somebody called him or something. Because George Steinbrenner's a huge wrestling fan,
really?
Huge WWE fan. Yeah, man. He would, anytime we were down in Tampa or Florida or around there, he would be right there with his grandson sitting on the front row. And one time I was wrestling in Tampa and went past, and he was sitting right there, and he said, "Look at that! That's the king right there. There's the king." And so anyway, I got to go up, tour George Steinbrenner's office, sitting he had this big glove chair that looked like a big baseball glove. Sit at his desk and taking pictures. And his bartender was in there, but George wasn't. But he said, "I can assure you that's the first time anybody dressed like you're dressed has ever sat at that desk."
Oh, that's pretty wild, man. We're talking with Jerry the King Lawler. He's coming to Youngstown Friday night for the Phantoms game, and we're going to be doing all kinds of stuff down there, right? You're going to be dropping the puck and signing autographs and all that kind of stuff, and just having a good time, man.
Yep, I'm really looking forward to it. I've done a few of the hockey games. Of course, living in Memphis, Tennessee, we don't see a whole lot of hockey down here in the South. But I really enjoy those games, and I heard the Phantoms got a really good team. So, and it's funny. You know, I think hockey fans and wrestling fans are one and the same. So I'm looking forward to meeting everybody up there, taking some pictures, signing some autographs. It'll be a fun night.
Oh yeah, that'd be very cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, what do you consider your signature match? What match that you were in over all the years defines Jerry the King Lawler?
Without a doubt, the Andy Kaufman match.
Okay.
That was that's been a long time ago. But I mean, that's the match that I'm, you know, most remembered for. And I mean, it's just so crazy. That match still lives on today in infamy, and the fact that there's a brand new movie that just came out on Netflix just this past week. It's called Jim and Andy: The Great Beyond, and it is really a unique. It's kind of a docu-movie or whatever, but it's all about Jim Carrey playing the part of Andy Kaufman in the movie Man on the Moon, and that really changed his life. And that's what this documentary is all about. You remember Jim Carrey, of course, being
right. Now,
you know, he was Ace Ventura guy and the funniest guy in the world. I mean, he did this Andy Kaufman movie where he stayed in character. He thought he was channeling the character of Andy Kaufman. He stayed in character for 80 straight days doing this movie. And he was never the same since, and that's what this documentary is all about. And it shows the history that he and I had wrestling there on the set, and he and I didn't get along very well, and I got to slap him on the David Letterman show. And it's a really good and really interesting movie. It's on Netflix right now. Jim and Andy: The Great Beyond.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. How about the best King's Court? What was the best King's Court you think you ever did?
Oh my gosh. You know, I did a lot of those. One of my favorites would have to be when I had Tiny Tim on as a guest and I broke his ukulele. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, man.
And then another one of my favorites was because it came back later. I got to meet this guy at the first time doing a King's Court, and then we became friends. And he came back and inducted me into the Hall of Fame in 2007, and that was William Shatner.
Right.
Yeah, I had William Shatner on as Captain Kirk, or he was promoting some new
right.
TV show back in the day, and had him on and got to do a little physicality. He gave me the alien monkey flip and all this sort of stuff, you know.
Yeah, now, you know what? How about this one? How about Donald Trump? Now, Donald Trump has a history of working with the WWE. Did you work with Donald Trump, and what was it like working with him?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I mean, well, when you say working with him, of course, we called Donald Trump. Donald Trump, of course, is in the WWE Hall of Fame, so I hosted the Hall of Fame ceremony that he was in and did pictures and all of that sort of stuff with him there that night. But the most fun with Donald Trump was when he when he came and did the WrestleMania gig where he and Vince were in a match where their hair was at stake.
Right.
And we got to call that match, and that JR and I, and that had to be one of the most fun matches that we ever called. I mean, can you imagine? And then you asked me if I ever thought that I'd when I first started wrestling, if I'd still be doing it today. If you had asked me if I would have ever thought that the guy that's got his hair at stake against Vince McMahon would ever be the president of the United States,
right.
I would have said, oh my gosh, anything can happen in the WWE.
Only president to be stunnered by Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that's some kind of a record.
Exactly.
Hey, a couple more questions, then I'll let you go. How about the thing with the Kiss My Foot match and the whole feud with the Hart family? How did Stu Hart take that? Was he good-natured about that? I mean, because some of the stuff, man, I mean, you were on that guy. Well,
I mean, they were such great material. I mean, they were perfect foil for me, but they were also such great sports. And I didn't know at the time. I actually heard rumors at the time that there was some heat there, especially with Brett and Owen, that they didn't like the things I was saying about their parents. So, I mean, of course, Stu and Helen, they were old. I mean, their birth certificate was a rock. I mean, they've been around a long time, and so it was so much fun to make fun of them in that way. And then just not too long ago, I heard from Bret Hart. We were doing a show together, and he told me then, he said, my parents really loved being involved with that. He said, because it let them be a part of the show. I mean, his mom said, oh no, we love the stuff that Jerry Lawler does, because it's like, it puts some attention on them, and everybody was talking about them and the things I was saying about them. So no, they were great sports. They really enjoyed it, and that was probably you talk about most memorable matches. That was one of my most memorable matches, the Kiss My Foot match with Bret Hart in WWE.
That was hilarious. Now, do you think wrestling will ever be as popular as it was, like with The Rock and Stone Cold and DX and the New Age Outlaws and that whole WCW thing? Do you think that might have been like the golden age?
It's hard to say. Yeah, I think that the main thing is what we're talking about with the Stone Cold and the Rock and everything. We refer to that in the WWE as the Attitude Era, and I think that's the general consensus that was the most fun and the most talked about time. But I mean, that was before it was. You had to be so politically correct.
Right.
I mean, nowadays you got to be so careful of what you say with all this social media out there, and absolutely anything you say is going to offend somebody.
No kidding.
And and now everybody's got a voice to complain about what you say. I mean, I can't tell you how many times just little things that I've said I get called on the carpet for, and now it's worse than ever. So it's hard to be. It's really difficult to be entertaining and do the job that they expect you to do when you have to be so politically correct. That's one of the reasons I was so for Donald Trump, because he said, he said in his campaign, hey, we don't have time to be politically correct anymore. Right. And I was all for that. I believe that. But now, good grief, now it seems worse than ever. I mean, Matt Lawler gets fired this morning. Every time you turn around, somebody's doing something inappropriate that offends somebody else.
Well, I could just imagine. Think about some of those diva matches, or when somebody's guys body slammed a diva, or smacked them in the face.
You can't even think about that nowadays. No.
Today, I think people would just be in an uproar.
Right. And what about? I mean, one of my favorite during the Attitude Era, my favorite thing was they used to have bra and panty matches. Do you remember that?
Oh, heck, do I remember that? Come on, man. Are you kidding me?
And when I get people coming up to me, like I'm sure at the Phantoms game this Friday, I guarantee you I'll be asked at least 10 or 15 times, people will say, King, just say it for me one time. Just say puppies for me one time.
Uh-huh.
And I have to say, puppies! But, of course, you can't say that on the air anymore. That offends somebody.
I know.
So,
I mean, the same thing with us in the radio business and every place,
sure.
man. It just took a lot of the fun out of it. And I think what it is, it's more censorship than anything, if you ask me. You know?
Well, you're right about that, but it's just like people now are so easily offended, and they're so thin-skinned. I mean, just like it's so funny. Trying to be topical. I just saw also where I guess Donald Trump referred to somebody as Pocahontas, right?
Right. Yes.
And then then some Native American said that was or some reporter or something from a TV station said, use the term highly offensive. Pocahontas is a highly offensive term. And then you got to realize, of course, that this guy works for the same company, a media company that is owned by Disney, who Disney made over $500 million with a movie called Pocahontas.
I know.
But now, if the president calls somebody Pocahontas, it's offensive.
I know. It's just a crazy world out there. Hey, we're talking with the King, Jerry Lawler. He's going to be coming to Youngstown on Friday. He's going to be down at the Phantoms game. One more quick question, King, and I'll let you go, man. You've been so generous with your time here this afternoon. Now, I understand you're a memorabilia collector. Tell us a little bit about your memorabilia collection.
Well, it's gotten so big now that I had to move from one house to another house that has 7 bedrooms and 2 specific memorabilia rooms now. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a memorabilia collector or maybe I have that affliction where I'm a hoarder.
That's a thin line.
I don't like to get rid of anything. I collect all sorts of things. But I have collected over the years some pretty cool stuff. Like in one of my memorabilia rooms, I've got a 9.5 foot tall Incredible Hulk. I got a lot of superhero stuff. I got Superman, Batman, Deadpool, all of these life-size figures, and then I also own a 1966 Batmobile.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
Oh, that's got to be really cool.
like the Adam West TV Batmobile. I drive that around every now and then.
Oh.
Matter of fact, I'm going to take it out tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Really nice. We got 70-degree weather down here almost the 1st of December in Memphis.
Oh, I know. You got to love it, man. We had a nice day here yesterday too. What's your most prized possession? Is there one thing in there that you say, man, this is the piece de resistance or whatever,
Well, yeah. The Batmobile is the big deal. I mean, everybody talks about, when they walk in and all of a sudden you see a Batmobile. That's a pretty cool piece. I got 2 jukeboxes, 5 Coca-Cola machines. All of my figures. I own Norman Rockwell original piece of art from Norman Rockwell.
Awesome.
I got a bunch of crazy stuff.
That is very cool. Well, listen, King, thanks for taking some time out with us, man. You've been more than generous with your time, and I just had a great conversation here with you this afternoon, and we're looking forward to you coming to Youngstown on Friday. We'll be down at the Phantoms hockey game. I'll be down there for the meet and greet. We've been giving away a lot of tickets and stuff, so it's going to be a good time. What can the fans expect when they come down to the Covelli Center on Friday?
Well, they're going to get to meet a WWE Hall of Famer and a guy that's been around a long time in this business. It's my birthday, like you said. I'm 68 today, but I really thought it would take a lot longer to get this old. But it happens to you really fast. So that's why I really enjoy getting the chance to meet, shake hands with you people. And the one thing that they'll realize is, the WWE events these days are so big, and they're a little bit on the impersonal side, and the fact that you don't really get to meet any of the WWE superstars, but that's the difference here. That's what this is all about. You're going to get a chance to come up, actually, meet and greet and shake hands and take pictures with and all that sort of stuff there Friday night at the game. So I always enjoy that up close and personal, get to meet the fans and talk a little wrestling.
All right, sounds good. King, thanks for taking some time out with us, and I'll see you Friday at the Covelli Center.
Sounds great, Freddie. Thank you. Hey.